So now we're going to have a Q&A. So let's bring up the house lights. And I'd like Builderman and Sorkus and Tim Mobius to join me up here on stage. If you have a question you'd like to ask, we ask that you line up at either of the microphones here in an orderly fashion. And you can ask us anything.
And what we're going to do is just go back and forth for about half an hour. We'll try and give you a little idea when we run out of time. So we can't guarantee, how far back we'll go through the lines. If your question does not get answered here, right afterwards, for about the next hour and a half, we're all going to be outside between noon and 1:30, and I'll be sitting at a table. You can come and ask me questions, okay? So we're going to start on the left-hand mic, and just say your username, where you're from, and your question. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Vix2002, and my question is, and I'm from Romeoville, Illinois, and I was wondering, how do you make a model on Roblox?
How you make a model on Roblox. So right now you do it in Roblox Studio. Got two things coming down to make models easier. I'm going to let Deepak, just talk about how the new thing he talked about today is going to help you with that.
Is this on? Okay. So we are creating workshops. So basically, you're going to be able to create models as you're playing, and you can select different sections of the place, and you can save that as a model. So if you have a cool car in your place, or someone built a cool car, your friend built a cool car, you can actually make that into a model immediately. That's what we see as the future vision of how to make a model on Roblox.
So right now you have to use Studio, but ultimately any game is going to allow you to make a model and save it. Great question. Right side here. Okay, you're up. Go for it.
Roblox has a lot of good games, and I wonder how to make them, which I copied one of the biggest games that everybody has played before. I think everybody knows this. Welcome to Roblox Building. What's your question? My question is, how do you make all these good games?
Yeah, so when you saw my talk earlier, kind of how do we make good games, I'm going to let Brad just touch base on that real quickly, because we have a couple things. We've got a big focus on allowing everyone to build stuff, not just our high-end developers. So Brad, go for it.
Right, so part of the secret is, well, first of all, we don't make the games. You guys make the games. Our job is to give you a really good tool set to create that with. And we know that Studio is pretty complicated, or can be very complicated, and there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. That's why we're introducing workshops, so we'll make it easier to create games, as well as building games specifically. And we're looking for other things. We'll be talking a little bit more later about things that we're going to be doing for developers to give them more support about how to create games. But the best way probably to learn how to create games is to play games and see what other people are doing and learn from that, and then get your own ideas and take it back into Studio or take it into Workshop when we're ready to go.
Yep. So just to add, ultimately, it may be possible for one of our high-end developers to make a game that is actually a mini game builder, if you can imagine that. So that's kind of where our vision is on that. Let's go to the left side. So username, where you're from, and a question.
Okay. When will you make Roblox Studio better?
Great question. When will Roblox Studio get better? I did mention that, we're putting a huge emphasis on that, going from 2 to, 5 engineers. Tim, you want to talk anything about that?
Yeah, great question. We are constantly looking at ways that we can make Studio easier for a new user to start. And then once you've kind of gone up that learning curve, what kind of things, what new tools can help the more experienced user. And some of the things, and we'll be touching on them today a little bit, are improved draggers and part positioning. So a lot of times if you're trying to get a part just into the exact right spot, it can be a little tricky. And so we're doing a lot of improvements with all the tools that are used for moving parts around. We're also going to be talking a little bit about Lua debugging from within Studio, so you can actually step through your Lua script code and see exactly what it's doing, hit breakpoints, look at variables and things like that. So from kind of beginner level features to advanced features, all along that spectrum, we're going to be making all sorts of improvements, and it's just going to happen slowly over time. And you're going to see a few of them coming in the next few months.
We want Roblox Studio to really be like the PowerPoint of game development. Super easy to use, but ultimately super powerful. And we want you to be able to drag a 10,000 part building in real time. Username and where from if you want, and then a question.
Hello, I am the Destroyer115, and I am from Bettendorf, Iowa. My question is, when are you going to release much anticipated features such as the server replicator object and the rotating graphic user interfaces?
So rotator interfaces in Studio. We got massive work on the Studio draggers going right now. We're refactoring them. Replicator object, Deepak, any insight on that? Or this was one we could check on offline.
So when you mean replicator, you're talking about network replication, right? So when you can send messages from server to clients?
Yeah, so you can basically stop exploiting by only allowing certain parts of the game to be modified.
Right. So just to give a quick overview, we have an API that allows you to stop clients from sending data to the servers and be selective about that. The reason it's not released, or it was an experimental feature on how we can handle this. Ultimately, we don't want to have the developers think about what they should replicate, what they shouldn't. It should be very simple. I make a game, nobody's exploiting it. Yeah. That is our vision. So that's our goal. We are working towards that goal. That's why that API was never released.
I would sync up with Deepak after the show as well, because we literally have 2 people now working continuously on client security. We've gotten a lot better at kind of hack prevention and stuff like that. We still see a few popping up, but we do think, with enough engineers working on it, we've kind of hardened the client a bit. That would be a better solution than having to do this. But great question. Let's go to the left. Username, where from, and question.
My name is T1N71N1, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I have a question, like, you know how you zoom in to go in first person? Are you gonna do, like, you could see your hands and your legs?
Oh, interesting. Adjustments to first person. I'll answer that one. Another cool thing about Roblox, you'll see a highlight today, is focus on the character camera, character animation. We finally have someone focusing on that. So I can't give you any specifics. The guy's name's Vince. He's one of our game engineers. But we are doing experiments with, showing hands and legs. We'll show him this part of the video, and then, we'll give him a heads up on that. So, showing the right amount of stuff without blocking what you're seeing, it's kind of tricky. So we're trying to tune that always. And we're also trying to make it, work as well as we can in as many places as possible. Excellent question. Okay, let's go to this side.
My username is Secret JWolf. I'm from McHenry, Illinois. And my question is, on your profile, you receive your friend page. It's always your first friends. I was wondering if there would be a chance to add a feature where you can choose your friends on your profile.
Yeah. So. We'll let Brad talk about that and just give you the highlight that we are kind of completely redesigning the whole web interface and making it work tablet and, desktop. Brad, anything else you want to add on finding friends?
Yeah, so we're changing around not only how you find friends, how you can select friends, how you can, find friends, what games they're in, but also just that whole profile page of where everything shows up. We're taking a good hard look at that and what's the best information to have on that. And one of the parts of that is looking at your friends, being able to reorganize them. I can't say if we're actually going to be able to pull that off, but it certainly is something that we're looking at.
Yeah, managing my friend list is almost impossible because I've got thousands of friends. Okay, great question. Left side.
Hi, my name is Quinn. I'm from West Des Moines, Iowa. My username is DarkSamus2. And my question was, on Roblox Studio, are you ever, is the Roblox team ever going to add a C-frame plugin or tool?
Yes. So kind of nailing all the different building modalities, either introductory kind of snap-aligned building, more advanced freeform. You know, C-framing is like one of the most popular kind of advanced ways that people build. It's definitely on our list, and then you can imagine on our list beyond that, starting to think, you know, can you ever drill a hole in an object in Roblox Studio? You know, can you ever extrude or lathe an object like a modeler? So the vision, you know, that we talk about is ultimately that bulldozer I showed you earlier. How do we make that as easily as possible? So absolutely, 5 engineers ultimately working on Studio, and that will be a part of it. So good question.
Thank you.
Down here on the right.
My name's Mara. I'm from Lansing, Michigan, and my username's Candy's Dash. And my question is, how do you get like really good? I think they're known as B tools, like the certain copy dragger, and then
Yes.
and then the one that rotates them in all directions. I don't know how to get those.
Right. So once again, building a game is kind of complicated, and especially building a game where you want to pick the tools to put in your own game. Like you might want to make a game that just has a dragger or just has a deleter. So right now on Roblox, you know, we have pretty good searching for hats and shirts and pants and models, but there's no way right now to search on Roblox for like tools I want to put in my game. It's something that's definitely on our list of things to do. So the process of, instead of using Roblox Studio, just in a very simple environment, you know, putting in the right tools, making your own simple game is very high on our list. Great question. Thanks. Okay, let's go on the left.
Hello, I'm Noah. My username is Darwin12, and I'm from St. Louis. My question is, are you ever going to allow Roblox places or even models to come into 3D formats like 3DS or object formats like so?
Yeah, this is I'm going to answer this one because it's so big. And this is a huge question that we ask ourselves. Ultimately, you know, we have a vision that we want everything in Roblox to be physically simulated and deconstructible, made of the right materials, something you can take apart. Now, granted, when we bring in a model or a mesh from somewhere, you know, it's a little bit more of an amorphous shape. And so we're a little, you know, we're working, you know, we're trying to figure that out, really. It would definitely be more interesting if for complex things like a tool or a highly detailed thing, if we supplied the tools and the part count, and you could have a tool made out of 50 Roblox parts, and you could take it apart and it looked really good, that's very interesting to us. At the same time, do we have the performance to support that? You know, and do we need to go maybe the route of a more traditional gaming engine, which is bring in a mesh with a texture, you know, have it be very detailed. So my leaning, of course, is more the former. I want everything in Roblox to be deconstructible, but I would say it's a great question, and we're constantly kind of trying to zero in on what's the right answer. So thanks for asking it.
Thanks.
Okay, down here on the right.
My name is Mystic Rogue One, and I'm from Munster, Indiana, and I've seen you added air balloons and a motorcycle, and I was wondering if you're going to add any gear as a car.
Yeah, I'll let Tim, who works on the physics engine, talk about, you know, balloons, ropes, cars, and vehicles.
I think, yeah, great question. I think there's actually a couple parts to what you're asking, because I know that Deepak has been working, including, you know, the motorcycle, and you know, I know a builder that wants to have a motorcycle that is actually able to tip and kind of bank into turns. But did I lose the microphone here?
Yeah,
okay.
A little more volume on the mic there.
But in terms of the ability to create mechanisms like that, what we really need is a more powerful set of joints, the ability to create motorcycles with wheels that stay right true and don't wobble around, and new constraints like ropes that will allow you to create balloons or create an air balloon with all the, you know, the right dynamics of a rope, where if you start to have slack in that rope, you'll actually see it loosen up. Those are all things that are underway right now. Later in this presentation, you'll see a little video that has a few of these new joints and the new performance that's going to allow creation of those kinds of cool models. So thank you.
Okay, great question. And if in the back, if we can get a little more volume on the radio mics without breaking up, that would be good. Let's go to the next question here on the left.
My name is Evan, and my username is Capdevio, and I live in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri. My question is, whenever you would join a game, it would say, when it's not full, and you have like 2 spots open, it would say, the game you requested is full. And then it would be waiting, even though it was not technically full.
Yes, so any of you guys want to answer that, or you want me to answer it? Deepak's going to go for it.
So there is a couple of things here. First is what we present to you. The update on when that 2 out of 16 happens is not fully real time, right? So other people could have clicked on it, so the server is waiting for those people. So when you click on it, it says it's full. So, but the website itself is showing that it's 2 out of 16. So we want, at some point in time, we don't want to sync that, and we do sync that. But there are scenarios like that. We definitely want to fix those.
Yeah, I would add that we have a new game service that manages that joining. And I believe one of the things that Matt Dusek is looking into is kind of giving you a guaranteed lease for about a minute on that slot. Because, you know, if there's 110,000 people playing on Roblox, like Deepak said, you know, those things are filling very quickly. So I'll ask Matt about that and kind of guaranteeing those slots.
Thank you.
Good question. Down here on the right.
My username is Lego 8Boy, and I'm wondering, what was the first hat you guys made?
First hat, I recall I think it was a baseball cap.
Yes, it was.
You know?
Yeah, I traced it back. It is a red baseball.
So I'll give you a piece of history for those of you that played Roblox really early. The very first version of Roblox, your character did not animate. There were no shirts, no pants, no hats. And in the very first version, you couldn't even choose your character color. So when we were watching those 5 or 10 people playing, it was kind of like watching weird statues, you know, like go around like this. But we made the decision more to ship it and get your feedback rather than go for it. So good question. Okay, let's go to the left.
Hello, my name's Aiden Michael. My username is CadCool, and I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I was wondering if you're ever gonna do something with like gravitational, like a sphere you can walk underneath it and like still be on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna, once again, that's either Tim or Deepak. That relates kind of to physics, buoyancy, and stuff like that, you know?
So you're saying as if you want to be able to turn gravity off on something and have that sphere perhaps float around.
If you're right here, you could go like this and still be on there.
Sure.
Like the gravity would
yeah,
pull
and have
you
gravitational
from inside.
fields. I think that's a great feature request. We don't have something that does that exactly, but there are ways to do that. And if you use body forces and other tricks within Studio, you can accomplish that. But I think you're right on the mark by having there be a dedicated feature that allows us to create gravitational fields and actually be able to mess with the gravitational constant. So I have to say that that's a great question. It's something that we'll put on the list and start looking at adding into Studio.
That could be a future, like where gravity instead is negative y, gravity's always towards the 0, 0, 0 point, and then as you build out from there, gravity's always going to point in that direction. So that would allow you to build that kind of game. Down here on the right.
All right. My username is XX Roblox Dude XX989, and I'm from California. And on Roblox Studio, I wish I could take a boat and then have the option to make it into a car, like that.
Yeah, take what and then make into a car?
Take a boat and then
Oh, make a boat into a car. Yeah. Okay, so we want you to be able to do that too. And making a good car is still very difficult. in Roblox Studio. So imagining ways so that when you're using Roblox Studio, if you did a search on the toolbox and you found some wheels that you could literally bolt onto your boat that worked properly, and if you could find maybe a separate thing that was like a really good controller for that and put it together, those are definitely things we would like to do. So great question. You know, how do we make all kinds of vehicles? You're going to see a good demo right after this on vehicles I think you'll like. Okay, down here on the left.
I've had an idea for Roblox for a real long time. Instead of just normal Halloween, we can do like a special BLOXoween. Like we can have hats and stuff. It could be kind of like the egg hunt, but you hunt different things down, and it would be Halloween themed.
So just talking about events, let's go to Brad and let him talk about that.
You're going to like Halloween this year. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, Brad lays down.
If you thought the egg hunt was big, you haven't seen anything yet.
All right, Brad's laying down the gauntlet. Thanks, Brad. Let's go here on the right.
Hello, I'm Blue Ballet in Roblox. I'm from Akron, Georgia. Here's my question. Will you guys add more blocks and update the existing ones and the snapper tool?
The snapper, there's two snappers once again. There's one in Roblox Studio, and then there's one, you know, that anyone can make in their game. So the whole Roblox Studio paradigm for snapping, we're putting enormous effort into that. How do I line? Can I make blocks that are 1/10 of a stud or 1 stud? Do I align to the world grid or do I align relative? Tim did a lot of work on that. Tim, anything else you want to add about snapper stuff coming down the pipe?
Just that Dave hit it on the head, there's a lot of work that we're doing right now where we're going to unify creation of these snap joints and weld joints, as well as the other new kind of mechanical joints that are coming, so everything will sort of snap together with sort of a new precision. Like if you have a wheel that you want to put into an axle and have it like snap right in the right location instead of using the dragger to find it, that's something that's coming up. And so again, all these joints will be created sort of with a unified method, and you'll be able to set the surface on each, set maybe attachment points on each, and then accurately bring those two parts together.
Okay, great question. So we have about 5 more minutes. Here's what I'm going to recommend. If we do not get to you in the line today, we have about, after the show, which ends at noon here, it's going to go till about 1:30 before the next show. I will wait here, and any of you guys that are in line, I'll come back up to stage and take the time to answer all of your questions. And then I'll also be floating around, as well as anyone that has one of our shirts on, and you're welcome to ask those questions as well, because we do want to hear from all of you. But we're kind of at the 5-minute warning, so just giving you a heads up. You'll all get answered. We'll do as many more as we can. So let's go to this side here.
David Bizuki.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something that's been happening in Roblox lately. It's about super clans. They've been admin abusing, kicking players during an invasion itself. It's horrible. I've seen it before in John's Cobras. They've been kicked from an RSF fort. According to PSP John 1 speech, one of them, my Roblox player's name is John Sagresh. Listen to me. This is the honest truth. I'm serious.
Okay, so that admin abusing, couple things. One, two types of abuse that we really keep our eyes on. And I would say one is social, and then one is hacking. And the one that we really immediately, I'd say both try and nail, on the hacking one would be admin, someone being able to impersonate in any person's game. That's the one that we've really, I think, done an enormous job on and kind of have control over. But the other one is in games made, by the average user. Anyone who makes a game has some capability to, within their own game, kind of control who are admins and things like that. So that's the more social one.
Well,
we're very worried about it.
Actually, I've experienced, PSP John 1 himself experienced the social one.
Yeah, so that one I'll kick over on the technical one, which is just, in a random Roblox game, how do we make the client 100% bulletproof? I think we're all over it. On the social one, I'll let Brad I don't know if Brad, you want to chime in at all on kind of what we're doing to kind of, figure that out.
So you may have noticed if you're in game, actually anywhere on the site, we've changed the reporting structure. So if you go to report now, there are many more specific categories, and some of those specific categories and top of the moderation queue, so we can see what's going on. So we really encourage everybody that when you see this kind of behavior going on, don't go on the forums and complain about it. Use the report functionality, because that's what brings it to our attention, and that's what permits us to be able to act more effectively and more immediately on it.
Thanks, Dave.
So great feedback. And once again, Brad, besides being our VP of Marketing, runs the whole customer service team. And they sit right outside my office, so I kind of live this stuff 10 hours a day. So I appreciate it. Next question.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
My name is Mario Crusher. I'm from Nebraska. My question is for groups. There's a lot of things like clans and fan groups. And I was wondering if you were going to implement any new features soon?
Yeah, so I would, my feedback on the groups is this. We ultimately have a vision that as more and more types of people play from Roblox, a lot of things that have been site-wide in the past, like the forums, may actually start to make more and more sense for groups. So things like their own forums, allowing the leaders of groups to control their groups better. And of course, I'd say nothing that I would promise, but the ultimate vision that a group is kind of like a corporation, can have assets, can have owners, all of that. I think that's all in our plan. I think, these things are how fast can we work on everything. So definitely hear you there. Something's coming, and it's all in our, kind of in our big vision. Great question. So we have time for two more. We'll go 1-1. All of you guys that are still in line, and I'll kind of remember you right after the show, if you can, at noon, after the last two that are up here, I'll come up and answer the rest of your questions, okay? So we're going to go 1-1, and then everyone else, I'll be up on the stage at 12 noon. So let's go to the left here.
My username is Lou Weaver, and as a master scripter and game developer, obviously, telling players how they're doing in the game is something important to make them feel as if they've accomplished something. However, with the current leaderboard system, stats can only be displayed to the specific server the player's in. There's been mentions of a new data play service in the works. Anything about that?
Yeah. So real briefly, leaderboards right now are place-specific. And all the kind of persistent data. You're going to see some hints on persistent data when we talk about new stuff, when Tim does as well. The ultimate vision is, can persistent data be per place, per user, per keyword, per author, per all of that kind of stuff? We want you to be able to make great leaderboards, basically. So good question. And our last question here.
All right, so my username is IconExcited, and I'm from Chicago. I'm wondering about the future Roblox Studio for iPad.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Here's our current thought on that, is we have not announced anything on Roblox Studio for iPad. What we are going to talk about and have talked about is when you don't have a mouse, imagining kind of a full-on development environment's a little more complex, but how can we create maybe more focused building experiences? A car builder, a house builder, a world builder, a robot builder that are very good for a tablet and can, be that accessible. That doesn't, I think, rule out at someday doing that for iPad with Studio. I think the initial goal is very focused building experiences. great question. Okay, so anyone else? Great questions. We'll be up here at noon, but I thank all of our, let's give a big hand for all of our answers. And a big hand to you, and we'll go on to our next segment with Brad. Thanks.